Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to Monday's edition of the dceu Daily. You know, because it's Christmas. I don't know what day it is because I'm literally recording the videos a day before I post them because there's so many events and family events. But I want to do these videos. It's important that we do that and we keep the conversation going. So today's video mostly is going to be about Wonder Woman 84 and the positives. The positives about this movie. I've done a full review. I've done a spoiler chat. I've spoken about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Not the movie, but about Wonder Woman 84. So today we focus on the positives. And talking about positives, Patty Jenkins posted this on Twitter. I think we are really struggling right now in a world where many have chosen getting what they want over what is better for others. If these movies are about defeating evil, that's a pretty primary at the moment and putting us in the most danger, so we took it on. Well, it's a great message, Patty. I'll be honest with you. That segment of the movie, as we're talking about positives, was executed beautifully. And this is what the third act is all about. Starting with Diana running from Steve, who's gone now. That's a heartbreaking moment. And it's brilliant. And Maxwell Lord, with the whip on him, he really is drunk with power. And it's the knowledge of his son being in trouble, near death, that stops him. So both movies have done this choose love before greed thing. Both of them have done that to a point. Or, choose love above hate. That's Wonder Woman 2017's message. And Wonder Woman 84's message is about greed, is about love over hate. It's a great message and it was greatly executed. That third act is absolutely fantastic. But it's interesting to me that a woman who works for one of the most greedy industries in the world, Hollywood, is talking about others being greedy and not making the right decisions for other people. She's talking about Trump. I don't like Trump. I agree, Patty. And if this was just a cheap thing to get at Trump, I'm already bored. But in terms of the film, it's a really good message. So I'll take it. And as I say, it's executed so well, and it certainly gave me the feel. So look, it's one of the positive elements of the movie. And so I'm glad that she did it. But when she's just taking it on, you didn't risk your life or anything, did you, Patty? You were telling a story. Us storytellers create worlds and we tell stories and we try and give people a little bit of escape, and that's great. But we're really not fighting any wars and we're not solving hunger here. And we should always remember, not our place, because I don't think anyone should know their place. I think it's important that we step over our places, but not to have a big, a self-inflated idea of who we are and what we're doing with our work. So I think that's important. But I do agree with her. It was a great message and I like it. But if it's a veiled kind of cuss to Trump, it's boring, isn't it? I'm bored of all of this. But this is the entertainment industry right now. So positive number one is the whole thing with Maxwell Lord, giving up the wishes. The only way he's ever going to renounce his wish is via his son. Because this is not about, look, I know he says I'm not a good man, I make lots of mistakes, I'm a bad father, I am a loser. I don't think he's a bad father or a bad man. His whole motivation is showing his son that he can be a winner. Now, maybe it isn't exactly the right thing to do, and his son tells him in the end, I love you, whatever you are, Dad, and that's great. So I'm paraphrasing now, I don't remember the exact dialogue, but again, that's beautiful. That whole third act is beautiful. The problems of the movie, actually, every time I talk about the problems of the movie, I'm going to slap myself in the face because this is a Wonder Woman 84 positivity video. This isn't about the negatives, and all films have negatives, even if you love them to bits. Right. And so, so all of that with Maxwell Lord and his son is so good. And that is a positive element, along with this third act, which is absolutely fantastic. Everyone has a right to do the film that they want to do. and Patty made the film she wanted to do. Remember, this is a positive video, so I'm not going to go, but we're just going to talk about the element that I liked of this movie. One of the other things I loved about this movie is in Diana's apartment when we see a picture of her and, what's her name? Oh my God. I can't remember the character's name. How many times is this going to happen to me while I'm recording a video? Right. Do we remember Steve Trevor's secretary? Her. Awesome character. As this is premiering live, if you know her name, if you remember her name, tap it down below so you can make an absolute idiot of me and show me how old and decaying my mind is. But her. So there's a picture of her as an elderly woman with Diana, you know, with her there, with her arms around her. It's a great picture. And there are other pictures. We don't really get a close-up of the other guys from Steve's team, but I think that's them. So again, I like that. That's a big touch. It's interesting. It's a nice touch, shall I say. It's quite interesting, isn't it? When this film was being shot, Patty kept on telling us it's not a sequel. Of course, this is absolutely a sequel. If you haven't seen the first one, first of all, you're not going to know who Steve Trevor is, right? Steve Trevor's a big part of the movie, him coming back, right, with the whole Diana wishing him to come back thing. And so, how is it not a sequel? Again, a little bit negative there, so I'll move on. But all this chat, I mean, it's like, I think, isn't this what they were telling us about Aquaman 2? It's not a sequel. They're also, what is it? What's wrong with sequels? It's like they're so obsessed with self-contained stories now, they don't even want to admit what they're doing is a sequel. It's crazy. Someone in their offices has said sequels are bad. Sequels are wrong. Can't be interconnected. That's the problem with Justice League. They try to be like Marvel. No. There's nothing wrong with having an interconnective franchise. That's a good thing. The problem is when you actually try and copy Marvel and what they do, it's never going to work. You still got to do your own things, but you can still have awesome crossovers and cameos, right? So anyway, again, we're getting to that negativity aspect, so I'll move on. So we go to the opening sequence of this movie, which is it's such a great way to open this movie. Again, I have to slap myself because I'm thinking about Patty Jenkins saying that Warner Media wanted to cut one of the opening sequences, but she won't say which one. And let me tell you why. Again, I'm going to go to the negative a bit. It doesn't matter anyway. I need to say this. And so she's trying to allude that maybe it's the moment on the island, but I don't think it is. She knows that's a great sequence, so she's trying to get us riled up. But the truth is, Warner Media wanted to cut the mouse sequence. And you know what? I agree with it. Got to slap myself in the face, but I have to say, Warner Media were right there. This is a positive video, Mick. What's wrong with you? Anyway, so that moment on the island with Lily Aspel, young Diana, is so good. And there's so many good things we haven't spoken about that sequence. And so you see her running. But it's as she's competing, which is really good, because we see the whole thing really, a lot of the time, not all of the time, from young Diana's point of view. So as she's running or riding her horse, she can see the adult athletes coming towards her. You think about it, being a young kid and seeing all these goddesses, these specimens of godliness coming for you. So it's brilliant. And you see elements where they're all pushing each other and it's very competitive. I was thinking about this. If they had the opportunity to do that to a young Diana, would they do that, or would they feel sorry for her or say, well, this is the Queen's daughter, right? We don't want to be doing this, or we're going to get 50 lashes. Does Queen Utolipa actually give people 50 lashes? I don't know. Anyway, so it's a really, really brilliant sequence, and it's all about truth being the most important thing, because she literally decides she wants this so badly. And this is an element of this. This is the element of this story, of this arc, of the moral of the story. She wants to win so badly. She cheats. And when one typey, I can't even say her name, Robin Wright, let's just say Robin Wright, right? So when Robin Wright grabs her and stops her from finishing the race, it's, why have you done this? It's not fair. I really wanted to win. And that's the thing, isn't it? She really wanted to win so badly, she forgot that she was defeating the object. The object is to be the best. And if you can't be the best, it's okay. You still competed. You still completed the whole event. And that's still a good thing. So we see this moral from the very beginning. And it plays out in the actual movie as we go to 1984. Because when we get to that moment, when it's obvious to at least Steve Trevor that he has to go, you know, Diana's losing her powers. And he says, listen, this has to happen because you must go on. I've already gone. And she's like, no, I want this. Why can't I have this one thing? And she's acting like she acted when she was a child. And it's defeating the object. And Steve says, I had a full life. I'm happy with the life that I had. He's such a rounded character and he's so unselfish. Think about it. He's less selfish than Diana. You know, this is why we need these characters like Lois Lane and Steve Trevor, because they ground the heroes. And that's important, to keep these heroes grounded. And so, you know, he makes us see that this is, you know, this is wrong. He has to go, or she won't be able to save the world. And so she says, I'll never love again. And I love it as she runs away and she's so heartbroken and she's so damaged and bruised. You know, Gal Gadot is got great quality. There's no question about it. People still say she wasn't very good with her reactions in the first Wonder Woman. I don't agree. I saw a really good rounded performance. You know, obviously she did a good job. And thanks to Patty Jenkins, she did a good job as well. And so I like Gal Gadot. I've always liked Gal Gadot in both movies. So definitely not the issue, and we don't want to go into the negative, but Gal and the cast are not the issue of this movie. And so that's just such a great moment. And then she's flying. Another positive moment for me. The flying is great. Some people are saying, why is Wonder Woman flying? Have you ever read a Wonder Woman comic before? You haven't. You know jack shit about Wonder Woman, apart from the Linda Carter TV series and her involvement in the DC Extended Universe. And this is why you're saying why she's flying. Unless you know character history, then don't. My only issue, a little bit negative again, is all of a sudden she's kind of doing the whip, and then all of a sudden the whip's by her side. But it's okay. It's another great moment. As I say, there's no moment in the third act that I don't like. It is so brilliant. It really is. And the whole of the third act made me happy. It was exactly the message that Patty wanted to forward. It worked as a narrative, as a piece of fiction, and a piece of entertainment. And I think that is what's so special about this third act. We'll be back very shortly with more Wonder Woman 84 spoiler talk and positive vibes. But first, a friend to this channel, Scott Edwards, who keeps on giving me lots of content to talk about. And remember, you can do the same thing. Tag me over on Twitter and follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and make suggestions for videos and articles for me to read. And just let me know what you want me to do, and I'll do it if I think the other members of the audience want to see that as well, just like what Scott Edwards has done. The CW's Batwoman releases a massive Season 2 synopsis. This is an article that Scott's put forward to me, tagged me in, so we're going to give it a read. Batwoman released a massive synopsis for the second season of the CW series, teasing how Javicia Leslie replaces Ruby Rose in the titular hero role. The CW has released a massive synopsis for the second season of Batwoman, which introduces Javicia Leslie's Ryan Wilder in the titular role. The opening paragraph of the synopsis catches viewers up on Ryan's discovery of the Batwoman suit, while giving a description of her background as a sassy, smart lesbian with a difficult past. Ryan will see the Batwoman costume as a chance to no longer be a victim on the tough streets of Gotham City. You see, identity is very important to these people, so they have to tell us or remind us she's a lesbian. Of course, her being a lesbian doesn't define her as a person. You know, as like me being straight doesn't define me as a person. Me being Greek Cypriot, an Anglo-Greek Cypriot, born in England. I feel more English than Greek Cypriot, of course. But you know what I mean. But these days, identity seems to be very important, especially to alt-lefts. And that's kind of a shame, because there's more to a person than their sexuality and where they're from. The second paragraph delves into how supporting characters Commander Jacob Kane, Dougray Scott, Sophie Megan Tandy, Luke Camrus Johnson, Mary Nicole Kang and Alice Rachel Scarston deal with Kate Kane's disappearance. The False Face Society also distributes a new drug called snakebite, while Warren Christie, masquerading as Bruce Wayne, finds his way home. Hang on. Also distributes a new drug called snake, while Warren Christie, masquerading as Bruce Wayne, finds his way home. We also get mentions of the villain as Sapphire, played by Shivana G. So this Bruce Wayne they've cast isn't the real Batman at all. It's someone pretending to be Bruce Wayne? Interesting. The synopsis ends with Ryan becoming her own version of Batwoman, which is different from the one portrayed by the departing Ruby Rose. In Season 2 of Batwoman, when Ryan Wilder, Javicia Leslie, first discovers Kate Kane's batsuit, she has no idea how drastically her life is about to change. A sassy, smart lesbian with a difficult past, Ryan sees the suit as her chance to finally be powerful and no longer a victim as she survives in the tough streets of the city. By the way, in the trailer, she puts on the suit and she calls herself powerful. This is not how people speak. This is the problem with these politicians in the industry. Not writers, not entertainers, politicians. While Ryan goes rogue in the shadows, Gotham grapples with their missing hero, believing Batwoman has fled the city after a public standoff with Commander Jacob Kane, Dougray Scott, and the Crows. But Kate Kane's disappearance hits hardest at home, where Jacob, Sophie Megan Tandy, Luke Camrus Johnson, Mary Nicole Kang, and even Alice Rachel Scarston each struggle with the devastating news in their own way. Meanwhile, the False Face Society tightens its grip on Gotham, distributing a perilous new drug known as snakebite. Bruce Wayne Warren Christie finds his way home to wreak havoc. Sapphire Shivani Ghee and surfaces with plans for revenge, and a new set of villains descends on the city. It sounds interesting. If they can keep their identity politics to the minimum, we might be okay with Season 2. It's not long before Ryan realises how much the symbol on the suit means to Gotham, launching her on a personal journey that takes her from fledgling substitute to confident caped crusader, from living in her van with her plant to chasing villains in the Batmobile. Ryan Wilder becomes a very different Batwoman than Kate Kane, her own Batwoman, but with the same understanding of what it means to be a hero. Look, it sounds interesting, but you know my thoughts. Arrowverse hasn't been great since the end of Flash Season 2, and that's my opinion. The release of the synopsis also came with a key art for a Batwoman Season 2, which features a close-up look at wrist guards worn by Javicia Leslie's Ryan Wilder. I think I showed that to you the other day, thanks to Scott Edwards. Batwoman stars Javicia Leslie, Rachel Scarston, blah, blah, blah. Yes, Scott, thanks for that. Very interesting. Look, it sounds good. It sounds exciting. If I get time, I'll watch it. It isn't one of my DC projects I'm that excited about, but I am intrigued by it, certainly. Scott Edwards continues at Movies TV Man. Also, it's been confirmed Victor Zsasz and Scarecrow will both be the villains in Batwoman Season 2. Does this get you more excited? Do you think Diggle's appearance will be part of the Superman and Batwoman crossover? Do you think Diggle's appearance will be part of the Superman and Batwoman crossover? Yes. I think they're all going to be together. I said this, actually, Scott, I've already said this a few weeks ago. I believe that Batwoman and Diggle will be together in that Superman and Lois crossover, because I think it's as much as a crossover as you're going to get because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Victor Zsasz and Scarecrow are great characters, but again, they have to be defined and played and written in the right way. Just because you name drop and you do some fan service doesn't mean you're a great TV show. You actually have to execute it properly, like they did on the Gotham TV show. So they're my thoughts on that, Scott. So now let's continue with these beautiful positive vibes for Wonder Woman 1984. You know my balanced views about this film, so it's not like I haven't told you how I feel totally. But I decided to be positive today. So the other positive element, one of many by the way, is Pedro Pascal's Maxwell Lord. Now, I would put him up there with one of the top villains in this franchise, just because this is really an ordinary guy who's literally a confidence man, a con man. And he's so desperate to strike oil. He's so desperate to show to his son that he's a winner. And this is a big thing to, nobody wants people to think of them as a loser. And it's just amazing how that drive to be successful can basically make you cross the line. I mean, I've been there before. I'm sure you've been there before. How far greed can take us. I don't care. I'm going to do this. I'm going to keep on driving that car over the line, even if I or somebody else gets hurt. We've all been there. We all know what this means. So as I say, it's a great thing for Patty to do. It's very brave in the semblance of a superhero movie because of what superhero movies normally are. As I've said before, I like end boss fights. So this is what I said yesterday in my full review, that actually these villains are not actually proper villains as of yet. Yeah, Maxwell Lord is crossing the line. The power is getting to him. The aim of gaining the greed, and he just wants more and more. It's never going to be enough for him. So he's becoming a monster. But he's not an evil man, and he's not a cruel man, as I've already said. So I think Pedro did a really, really good job. This man's a great actor. He really embodies everything he performs, and you can see in his face the greed, the drive to gain more and more and more and never stop. So if Dinah never puts the whip on him, then he's never going to stop. Now, the whip may make him see the truth, but it is his love for his son that stops him crossing over the edge and makes him see what he's doing is wrong. So yeah, the whip does help, the lasso, but it's not the only thing. Because from the beginning of the film, from the first moment we see Maxwell Lord, whatever you think of him as a person, he genuinely loves his son. And all he wants is for his son to see him as a winner. Because Maxwell Lord is ashamed of himself and he wonders how his son sees him, as most fathers and mothers do. So it is a parental story as well as a superhero story. So I think it's a very interesting idea what Patty attempts in this movie. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. I think my main issue with the film, and I'm being negative again, is just how much filler is in this movie until we get to the crux, until we get to the third act. That's the disappointment. I'm thankful for the open road sequence. I'm thankful for the White House sequence, that they're okay. Listen, people have complained, and I'm going negative again, but people have complained, the VFX in this isn't the best ever. I don't think they mean the VFX is bad, but people are always looking for groundbreaking VFX. I don't think when we're talking about a movie and evaluating a movie and analysing a movie, that VFX, unless it's truly terrible, should come into the conversation. VFX should be something that's in the background. So the VFX in this film isn't bad. It just isn't Zack Snyder level VFX. But who can do Zack Snyder level VFX? You have to be talking about Steven Spielberg, Peter Jackson, George Lucas. Nobody else does it anyway. So this film is nothing to do with VFX. This is about the message of, love over greed, love over hate. The continuing message that Patty first started in the first Wonder Woman movie. And so I really like this character of Maxwell Lord. I don't think he's as interesting as the Maxwell Lord from the comics, but he's a very good version of Maxwell Lord. So he works as a fully rounded character. So when we look at Kristen Wiig's cheetah, Barbara Manova, she's so good. And I think they do display to us what kind of character this is. This is a character with a lack of, confidence. She's not very socially aware. She's so desperate to make friends and connections. I've been there in my life before, and so many of you have as well. So I think that was a great characteristic for Kristen to give her and for Patty to give her. So I think that they're the brilliant elements of that character. And I think it works to a point, and I like it because it gives you her motivations for wanting power and how she does become cheetah. So that element of it really does work. So when she is fighting Wonder Woman, you know why she's fighting Wonder Woman. You know why she won't give this power up, because she's never felt powerful in her life. And for the first time, she can take what she wants. She can protect herself. And so that's really, really good. And you know what? There are a lot more positives in this film that I've probably already forgotten. But for me, it is about the opening and it is about the final act. And I think if you focus on that, you'll say, actually, it's not a bad film. The way this film ends up gives you a really good positive feeling. And that's good. I mean, elements of it are unbelievable, you know. We know the human condition and it isn't good. It isn't good, I'm afraid. We are now in a situation in the world, in the era we live in, where the worst parts of ourselves have come out and the good parts of ourselves are not coming out to play. And I think mainly it's technology that's done that. The internet, you know, people thriving on negativity, YouTubers trying to make us be more hateful than loving, you know, big hateful clickbait articles. Yesterday I watched a Wonder Woman 1984 review that literally was titled, "It Sucks." But not only that, he then had the gall to say that the first film sucked as well. They're garnering on the negativity. Listen, my evaluation of the reaction to Wonder Woman is this. Some people love it. Some people illogically hate it. And I'd say welcome to the DCEU, because it seems like every single DCEU movie has this opinion, probably apart from the first Wonder Woman movie. Otherwise, it's all very divisive, but definitely not a controversial film. I will say that. So it's very interesting because it's got people talking like all DCEU movies do. I'm not sure how much people were talking about Birds of Prey, but no franchise is perfect, right? So what are your favourite moments from Wonder Woman 84? Comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon.